Hi. Siege here, and today... Alright, look. I know I haven't been uploading much recently, and I feel bad about that. I really do. I've been sitting on this particular video for quite some time, wondering if I wanted to pile on to the already enormous list of Warframe creators who have already done the same. Truthfully, I didn't. There's so much negativity everywhere else. I just decided I would shut up altogether. Here's the problem, though. I can't not post forever, and the Heart of Deimos update, while visually interesting, with serious lore implications, is unplayable for me. I'm not saying it's not functional or anything, although even that is partially the issue, but I just can't force myself to play it. I need you to know that I came into the Heart of Deimos with literally the best of intentions, and I tried to keep my expectations moderate. After all, during the pandemic, DE was able to put out quite a bit of content, so that in itself has to be taken into consideration. TennoCon was especially fantastic this year, so much so that I can't wait to see what they do next year, and will be buying a ticket guaranteed as soon as it's made available. I can't say I've always felt that way about it in the past too, but it was really enjoyable and interactive in a way that I never would have expected. Along with all the other stuff they put out too, I think it's fairly obvious that DE was doing as much as possible with the limitations they were presented with, and for that, well, I think it would be ignorant to not give credit where credit is due. That being said, my criticism doesn't lie in the quantity of the content, more so the direction and nature of it. Deimos, to me at least, is pretty much a copy and paste of the last two open worlds with different visuals, and while I try to play, it's usually to complete a bounty and then I have to leave. I cannot tell you how many times the frame rate has dropped to points where I could barely see what was going on, with enemies teleporting all over the damn screen like Neo from the Matrix, and the game really losing all responsiveness with individual enemies. The world itself is a living, breathing entity, and while I totally appreciate the visuals under that assumption, in practice it makes for a not-so-great experience. At least so far as I've personally witnessed. Such similarity between the enemies and environment makes it difficult to discern what's what, and if the idea was to have natural camouflage on everything, while I do admit that is intriguing, again, in practice, not so much. And then, there's the absurdly oppressive leveling system, where instead of just doing bounties to gain standing like usual, one has to mix and match tokens from different activities to maximize experience gains, which still seem to move at a snail's pace, and I just have to ask, why? What made DE add an additional layer of grind to the experience and then tie it to the story of Deimos? Because of this, there's really no telling when I'm going to get to the whole story and understand all of its nuances to formulate decent theories on it. I've tried to play it, but I cannot force myself through this. And if you love it, believe me, I'm super happy because at least someone is enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm beginning to come around.
Yeah, everyone seems to be coming around. Well, I'm not, Doug!
And before I forget, let me say how much I fucking hate when a DLC or update has a narrative or storyline that's tied to long, tedious, and even time-gated material, essentially keeping me from just enjoying the story. It's like trying to watch a movie, but only getting like 15 minutes at a time, with days or even weeks in between. Unless you can just grind it all out, the story loses its steam, and what's sad is Warframe isn't the only game guilty of it. Destiny 2, among quite a few others now, have also adopted this same style, and yes, I hate it in other games as well. But that's more of a personal thing, so I'll live with it because I know I have to. However, every time I get excited about an upcoming DLC or update, I start to think about how storytelling has been gradually moving away from a campaign in the traditional sense, and into more of a weekly content drip, in order to make it appear as if there's more content than there actually is. And unfortunately, I've been around long enough to see the strings in the puppet show, and now I can't unsee it. I miss the days of wanting to play a game for the game, and not for some ship decoration or stat-rolled piece of armor or weapon. Truthfully, I'm worried about Destiny 2's Beyond Light release for the same reasons I'm not enjoying Warframe right now. Well, Heart of Deimos at least. Actually, regular Warframe, it still feels damn good. What does it say that I would rather level a weapon or frame in Hydron than play the newest content? Shit, if we're talking about a long survival or defense with a group or even disruption, that actually gets me excited just thinking about it. But let's be real. Those things aren't really a priority in this game, and I guess I can appreciate that, but here's something to ponder, my fellow Warframers. As I mentioned, I'm worried about Destiny's newest update, but not nearly as much as I have in the past. Want to know why? I have Microsoft Game Pass, and I don't have to pay for it, or any other Destiny 2 DLC from here on out. So whereas I'm not saying it's free, well, it is free minus the newest content, but now everything is included with the 100+ other titles you can easily download and discard for almost as much as I was paying for Xbox Live. So my point is, Warframe's free factor is slowly being nullified due to changes in the gaming industry, with so many other games feeling free to play as well. And it's available on Xbox and PC, so that encapsulates a fair bit of Warframe's market. I'm just saying now might be a good time to ease up on the grind and make the game a bit more rewarding for a person's time regardless of cost. Free or not, my time is still valuable to me. And what I don't want to live with is the idea that content updates in Warframe, and really every loot-based game I play at least, just trying to be a time filler versus an immersive game with a direction. What comes to mind is something Bennett Foddy talks about in his game Getting Over It. Now, this is a rage-inducing game. Admittedly, there isn't much to it. During the path to the top, the creator of the game will typically interrupt and impart some aspect of the game design he wanted to explain, some encouragement to keep going to the top, and even periodically, little bits of wisdom. One in particular that really resonated with me is this idea he tried to convey.
For years now, people have been predicting that games would soon be made out of prefabricated objects, bought in a store and assembled into a world. And for the most part, that hasn't happened, because the objects in the stores are trash. I don't mean they look bad or that they're badly made, although a lot of them are. I mean they're trash in the way that food becomes trash as soon as you put it in the sink. Things are made to be consumed and used in a certain context, and once the moment is gone, they transform into garbage. In the context of technology, those moments pass by in seconds. Over time, we've poured more and more refuse into this vast digital landfill that we call the internet. It now vastly outnumbers and outweighs the things that are fresh and untainted and unused. When everything around us is cultural trash, trash becomes the new medium, the lingua franca of the digital age. And you can build culture out of trash. But only trash culture. B games, B movies, B music, B philosophy.
And that's kind of where I feel many games are at these days. Now calm down. I'm not saying Warframe or any of these games I'm referring to are garbage. I'm saying much of the new content that we see in all of them seems pretty disposable. And I'm not the first person to say the open worlds are essentially content islands that never get looked at once they've outlasted their initial usefulness. Judging from Plains of Eidolon and Fortuna, can we seriously expect any different treatment for Deimos? And personally, I think this trend is a big reason that the last two major shooter games have failed so spectacularly, specifically Anthem and the recently released Marvel Avengers. Major for different reasons, mind you, but major releases all the same. Now, the problem I see outside of the incredibly buggy and overall poor initial launches is that, aside from Flight and Anthem and the ability to be the Avengers in the Avengers, there's not much different that they bring to the table that isn't already being done. And instead of current titles trying to innovate, they all seem to be moving towards the same things. One in particular being a type of battle pass. Warframe's got one, Destiny's got one, Avengers. Shit, if Anthem was still alive right now with any type of significant player base, my money would be on one in that game as well. Maybe there is one. I'm personally not logging in to find out, but if Anthem 2 comes out, trust me, it'll have one. And I think, as a supplemental reason to play, the Battle Pass model is actually pretty nice. But to drive play for special rewards? For me, I don't like it. I keep going back to this, but I still feel like Monster Hunter has the best overall vision. You play to prepare for the next battle. That's it. You get armor along the way, it helps you progress, and you can fight tougher challenges with greater ease, which allows for better armor and more perk options, which allows you to progress further. You get the point. It's just a fantastic system, and it keeps you playing literally until you do everything, provided you enjoy the content. And you know it has to be good for me to gush on it, because the story absolutely sucks. It's terrible. It's so bland and cookie cutter, but I also don't think they were trying to compete with the Shawshank Redemption, do you? The devs at Monster Hunter know what they have. the combat against increasingly unique and different monsters, and the perk leveling system. And it just works. So, of course, it would be the only one of these games to voluntarily choose to end. It's just luck, I guess. To Destiny's credit, I think they have this part of the thing down. They understand that the first-person gunplay and movement are what works, and kind of proving my point, they're literally removing a huge portion of the game I already paid for. Yes, this was before Game Pass. And are still banking on most people to pick up the new content. Which they will, because Destiny 2 feels damn good to play. And there's a new game within the game where playing the game for materials to upgrade your gear has become tolerable due to the idea that it's all working towards something. The ability to upgrade a weapon to where it can produce orbs of light, and then upgrading the armor to hold mods to grant increased gun damage, replenish abilities, replenish health, and give me added armor, all when I retrieve that orb. Not to mention other perks to increase specific ammunition drop rates, reloading, or ammunition capacity, or even super cooldown. It starts to mimic the same mini-game that exists in the aforementioned Monster Hunter World's perk system, and it's incredibly satisfying to put together a great build because you can really feel the effects while you play, and the builds are diverse enough to have multiple viable options, not just one specific damage build everyone gravitates towards. There's actually a bunch of different options that you might want to use based upon how you like to play. And what's sad is, Warframe already does this, and I have a literal arsenal, 40 frames, armed and filthy, with like nothing to do. Every build is the same. Damage, 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 damage. There's no real challenge outside of Steel Path, and come on, how low effort can you go to create a bad version of Borderlands Mayhem mode? See, in that game, you put up with the increased difficulty because it rewards you with much better versions of the weapons you covet in-game. Better and more extreme stats are obviously enticing. It's like literally looking for weapons with a built-in Riven already. A good one, too. What exactly is enticing about Steel Path aside from some orbiter decorations? Nothing, as far as I'm concerned. And that's where things are for me. If you've made it this far, feel free to bring out the pitchforks and do what you must. I respect that you've offered me your time up to this point. Here's the good news. Now I can move forward with other videos. I'm not sure what the right answer is for Warframe. I imagine this is what happens when a game gets older without retiring content such as Destiny 2 has begun to do and doesn't stick to a specific vision or direction. I don't know. I think I want raids back in Warframe, or something akin to it. Maybe just some longer dynamic content with multiple objectives, something like strikes or dungeons. I'm not sure. What would you add to the game if given the opportunity? Now, if you can give an example, say, from another game and how it would integrate into Warframe, I'd be interested in hearing that. Also, if you play daily and say have more than 2,000 hours played, feel free to share what makes you want to log in every day, especially with how the game is at the very moment. I would like to hear your side and what makes the game exciting even after the majority of the grind is done. With that being said, I think we can actually get back to normal around here. Feels good to get that off my chest. I can't wait to read all the hate that accompanies a bunch of really good, thought-provoking responses. Actually, I need to do a hate comment video at some point. At any rate, I appreciate your time in hearing me out today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week. Take care, everybody. Bye.